Hey, honey, my bad, but we can't hear this. Nah, y'all was just a little bit too loud. Well, first and foremost, you know, everybody who knows the history of the Street Lords, they know that the Street Lords consisted of, you know, in the beginning, the Street Lords consisted of probably, I would say, maybe 6 to 8 dudes who all became rappers. And what was so...
would you consider yourself an original Street Lord?
Yeah, I would consider myself an original Street Lord as far as group-wise, as far as... I guess I even use the word gang-wise, you know what I mean? I consider myself an original Street Lord.
Did you know them from younger days, or when did you meet them?
See, that's why I was finna get off into that. The thing with the Street Lords was this. You had 6 to 8 guys who, what was so amazing about it, and I still think about it to this day, was you had 6 to 8 guys who were all able to come together as one, but were separated from all different parts of the city. So when the Street Lord Cheddar Boys crew all came together, it made it such a immaculate movement, because you had a different dude that was from each hood that was able to bring so many people together. You know what I'm saying? So, as far as me, like, you know, first and foremost, me and Jesse, we was from the same neighborhood. Like, Jesse was an OG in my neighborhood, like back then, cause you know, like, besides TJ, I was one of the youngest members of the crew.
What's your neighborhood?
I'm from Joy Road X and 9, and you know, Jesse James, he from my neighborhood or whatnot, and Rook, my man Rook the Crook, he was from Plymouth. And it's so crazy because even in the beginning, like back in the younger days, me and Rook, we didn't get along with each other.
What age is this? It's like high school?
Yeah, like, actually I had been knowing Rook since I was like in the 7th grade. Like, I met Rook when I was about in the 6th, 7th grade. Rook was about a year, maybe 2 or 3 years older than me, but Rook actually come from a neighborhood on Plymouth called Plymouth Square. My auntie lived in Plymouth Square, and back in those days, Plymouth and Joy Road didn't really get along. So for me, it was weird because every time I had to go over my auntie's house a lot, and when I had to go over my auntie's house, I was actually going, you know what I mean, into a hood where they didn't really care. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily love like that, you know what I'm saying? So it's so funny because me and Rook, we became, like Rook was one of the first Street Lords who I actually, you know, I used to hang around the most, you know what I mean? And it was so funny because growing up, we didn't get along. And then as we got older, we met and we became so much cooler, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, I tell people all the time, my situation with Street Lords is a really weird one, because even my best friend who passed away, he actually passed away in '99 with G-Rock's dad. My best friend and G-Rock's dad were real close, because my best friend's, his son mother was, G-Rock's father was her stepfather, and G-Rock's stepsister. You know what I'm saying? So that was another connection that came about between us. You know what I'm saying? As far as me and G-Rock, we became extra tight after both of them, because G-Rock's father and my best friend passed away together at the same time. So like after that, me and G-Rock created a bond. We never been separate since then. So you know what I'm saying?
Like Lil Wayne, the Cash Money. He just was cool with BG, Juvie,
yeah,
Annie, baby.
Yep. Basically, that's basically, you know what I'm saying, for the media part of it. And then like me and Juan, we came about because like even back then when I knew, I didn't know Juan at first though. Like I just knew Juan because me and Juan both got our haircut at we both had the same barber. And I remember me and my homeboy, we used to always be up at the barber looking at him, and I'd be like, man, like this nigga is crazy, you know what I'm saying? Because like just how Juan was, man, like how he carried himself, how he moved around and everything. He was a boss, like way back then, you know what I'm saying? Like,
and this, you guys are what, early 20s?
Nah, I'm you know, like I say, I'm younger than all of them, you know what I mean? Like some of them I'm only younger than them by 2 years, maybe some of them a little bit more, but I may have been still a teenager at the time in the beginning. Like Juan was probably early 20s, I was a
You
teenager.
talked about how cool you were with Rook. And when we interviewed him, I mean, he talked about his legal stuff. So, can you just say that you saw Rook go from being a normal guy in the hood to having millions of dollars?
Oh yeah, I mean
he talked about it himself.
if y'all want to keep it all the way 100, first and foremost, Rook is the first person that ever helped me touch over $100,000 cash. You know what I'm saying? Like when me and Rook got close, like that's what it was with us. Like I was one of his right hand mans who was making moves. You know what I'm saying? So to this day, I'ma always give it up to Rook because he one of the first people that ever let me touch real money. Like I had real money. You know what I mean? So yeah, definitely I have to vouch for Rook on that. But one thing I'm gonna tell y'all too about Rook is even back when we was young, he was always, even when I didn't get along with him, Rook always, he always been a hustler. He's always had stuff. He always made moves. Rook was one of them dudes in the neighborhood who he always, you know what I mean? Like this before Street Lords and all that. Rook was always a hustler, always made moves. He always had whips and jewelry and different stuff like that. So yeah, I would have to definitely vouch for anything that he said. That's the
How
real.
did you meet Blade?
I met Blade, like my first time meeting Blade, it wasn't even a street lord movement yet. When I went to, I had got kicked out of Northwestern High School. When I got kicked out of Northwestern High School, I came to Henry Ford High School. And when I got to Henry Ford High School, Blade was on his way out. I got there in like the last semester of my sophomore year. And when I got there, Blade was a senior. He was getting ready to come up out of there. But when I got there, Darnell Lindsey, you know what I'm saying? Blade was the man at Henry Ford at that time when I came there.
When you say the man, what you mean? Like,
I mean, like he was the most popular person, like, period. When I came to Henry Ford, it was like Darnell Lindsey, you know what I'm saying? Period. And he always was doing his thing too. Like Blade had been flexing, had whips, and you know what I mean, and dressed fresh every day and all of that. So like that's where I first originally met Blade from, you know what I'm saying? Like we didn't get closer to years after that, probably like after I got out of high school, and then once the street lord movement started, and you know we all started clicking up and stuff like that.
Tell us about that era of when you say the street lord movement started. What did it feel like to be in the hottest thing in the city? And what positive and negative? What type of positive attention and what type of negative attention were you getting?
Well, you know, I know the Street Lords as a rap group. You know what I'm saying? Some people didn't really know that. You know, like I don't want to incriminate myself or incriminate nobody, but you know what I'm saying? Like Street Lords was first and foremost was a mob. You know what I'm saying? We was a gang. You know what I mean? And rapping came along because we felt like shit. Everybody else rapping, talking, we really got it. So why we ain't gonna rap? And you know, like even for me in the beginning, I used to go to the studio with them all the time. Like a lot of them songs that was made, I would be right there. I just didn't care nothing about rapping. I was getting money. You know what I'm saying? So like you know, far as on that end, on the street end, you know, Street Lords, their reputation was already up there, and they had a movement even before the rapping. But once the rapping began, it made it even more fun because it created things like, you know, having shows and having parties and, you know, video shoots, and we was bringing so many famous people into town, and you know what I mean? So it created a hype on it, but the Street Lords was already really popping before you even heard the first.
to come roll with me. When did you know, like, that's it?
Oh, like Blade's about to be popular.
I tell y'all this. We had a it's crazy because my uncle used to Uncle House. He had a nice big pool in the backyard and all of that. So one time my uncle and my aunt they went out of town, I think to Cancun or something like that. And me and my cousin, we decided that we was gonna have this pool party. You know what I'm saying? We was like, yo, they going out of town, we gonna have this pool party or whatnot. So when we had the pool party, I mean, we had the DJ there and everything. It was crazy because it had got out of hand. Like, we had planned for it to be like, you know, maybe like 30 people at the most, and we looked up and it was probably like my homeboy I grew up with from my hood, he came to the pool party and, you know, he was like, yo, he kept saying like, man, you gotta hear this one song, you gotta hear this one song. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, I'm like, we can have the DJ play it. He like, I'm telling you, watch this, you gotta hear this one song. So we took the CD. He never said who it was. So we took the CD and we gave it to, you know, my best friend who I was telling y'all about, who passed away with G-Rock dad, cause him and my DJ to this day right now, DJ Mark G, who was my DJ. That's how I started off too with them, you know what I'm saying? But we took the CD to Mark and my boy Shard, and we was like, play the song, you know what I'm saying? So we played the song, and the song came on. I'm like, damn, that's Blade. So, like, a few seconds into the song's playing, you just seen the whole backyard just going.
What was the song?
Like going crazy, huh?
What was the name of the song?
It was Come Roll With a Nigga. It was Come Roll With a Nigga, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, because like even back then, like, you know, like back then, even with the whole street lord movement period, when everybody made certain songs, like for you to be able to be like that dude who came through and you had a song that was on a tape or on a CD or something, and it went out and you was able to whip up and you was banging that. Like if you whipped up playing some brand new Blade and nobody else ain't even heard of it, they knew, like, you know what I'm saying, you was up top with it, you know what I'm saying? So
you was special. That was
yeah, you definitely, you had to be in the mob, you know what I'm saying? You whipped up playing that. You whipped up playing the new Street Lord joint nobody heard.
So when did you start more seriously wanting to rap, and were you kind of seeing what Blade was doing?
Before we even get there, because it's gonna go in stages. So after the Blade with the Street Lord come, he decides to work on a solo, right? Just bring me in to where he's working on a solo, and then the Street Lord's not making any more records. Now, what was the reason he went solo, or just bring me up to speed with some of that?
Well, first of all, the most serious person at that time out of the Street Lord camp was Blade. You know what I'm saying? Blade was the one to me who.
You mean took rap the most seriously?
Yeah, Blade was the one out the crew who he took rap a little bit more serious than everybody else, and you know, Blade had got to a certain point where, as me and as we all do, where I believe that he started wanting to make his own moves, and he had his own money, and he had his own mind, and he just started to create that business mind came along, that I believe, you know what I'm saying, with Blade. And when that business mind come along and you feel like things not moving at the pace you want it to, you know what I mean? As any man, you're gonna start to begin to say, hey, remember like one particular time, we went out and we did a show up at one of the colleges. I can't even remember exactly what college it was, but I remember when we came back and everybody was saying like, because nobody was sleepy and we had all been drinking and partying, and everybody was like, let's go to the studio. And Blade was kind of like, man, I'm about to work on my solo project. I ain't got time to be playing. And that was the first time I had seen him be like he didn't go to the studio. Like we still all went and we was drinking, and I don't even think nothing happened, nothing got done. We ended up just partying at the studio, but that was the first time when I seen Blade like, I ain't playing. Like I ain't got time to be, I ain't making songs just to be making them no more. I'm about to work on my project, so
it became serious. He dropped Still Spinning, and you rapped on that. That was the first record that y'all did off the first solo.
Man, you know,
feature.
Hey, you know, it's funny too, because I was talking to AK a couple days ago, and we was reminiscing on old times and things like that, and I really want to say like when Blade dropped Still Spinning, the song that I was on there was called I'm Gonna Shine on Me, you know what I'm saying? And that might have been my first song that I was ever on that actually got out, you know what I'm saying? Because I had been on so many Street Lord songs, but everybody used to laugh at me and cut me off I used to always get cut off the songs. So the first song that I think I was actually on that came out was that song. It was called I'm Gonna Shine on Me. And it was Blade and like mostly everybody from the Dirty Glove crew, me, G-Rock, Baby L, and Lil Cuz, you know what I'm saying? That was like, I had like 8 bars or something on there, and that was my first time, and I was excited about it because first and foremost, I was a fan of, even though Blade was my friend and we was in the same crew, I had always been, hold on one sec. Oh no, that's all right. Yeah, I was always, I was a fan first, you know what I mean? So, yeah, of course, being on Blade CD at that time, you know what I'm saying? I was looking at it like, oh, it was a game changer for me, you know what I'm saying?
So you still don't drop your own project?
Nah, I couldn't. Hell no. I still was learning then.
So here he comes with Stackmaster, but G-Rock's album, The Dirty Glove.
Yeah, I can't even remember that. Is that Dirty Glove CD?
Right.
Family, all we got. That came out before Stackmaster?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Nah, even on that, on the first Dirty Glove album, I think I was on 2 songs. I was only on 2 songs on that. And at that time, that's when I had started. I began to, you know, you was around, you know what I'm saying? I was growing, and I had my whole technique and understanding down by that time. So when Family We All We Got came on, I was on the song. It was me, Blade, O, G-Rock, and Calhoun, called How Many Niggas You Know. And I remember the day we did that joint too. Like, we had went to that's back when Southern Fire had just about first opened. That was our first time we all went to Southern Fire together, and we was eating or whatever. And it was so crazy because even then when we was at Southern Fire eating, like the place was like packed, and like I could just remember people staring at us, and we was balling so hard, you know what I'm saying, at that time. Like, it was crazy, you know. Like, people was all in the restaurant, everybody was pointing at Blade, and you know what I mean, it was just tripped out. And Blade was just like, yo, he's like, when we leave here, we need to go do a song, you know what I'm saying? So we left Southern Fire, went to the studio, we went straight to the studio, and we did a song called How Many Niggas You Know. And I could truly say that How Many Niggas You Know was the first record that I had got on with Blade where I felt like I sounded as like I was equal to all of them, you know what I mean? Like,
It was a confidence booster.
yeah, it definitely. That's the perfect word for it. It was a confidence booster because it was my first record where I actually felt like I fitted in with them. I didn't feel like they were killing me and I sounded, you know what I mean? I felt like we were all equal. So, yeah, How Many Niggas You Know? That record and that record did some things in the street, you know what I'm saying?
So here comes Stackmaster now. What was the effect of Stackmaster?
Well, no, first, let me see. How many niggas you know? Oh, you know what? I'm getting it twisted because I'm thinking about, I had another record with me and Blade that never had got put out that was called too. But when Stackmasters came about, I remember Blade being like, Blade every day he just used to always say like man, I'm about to put this new CD out, I'm about to kill him. And every day when you around somebody and they talking like that, you know, you begin to want to be a part of it, you know what I'm saying? So like G-Rock and them, they all knew that they was gonna be a part of it. They ain't had nothing to question, but for me, it was different, you know what I'm saying? Cause I was trying to come up, so I'm like, man, Blade ain't putting this CD out without me on it, you know what I'm saying? So I remember one day, I think me and G-Rock and Baby L, we was riding, and Blade called us and said he was over at AK House. He was at the studio working at AK House. So we whipped up over there or whatever, and when we whipped up, we went in the crib and stuff, whatever. And
Last question.
The Clippers beat
and kid, like, I was just saying that, like, even with me and Kid, like, you know, like, I selected Kid before I met him. Like, I went to Wine one particular day because I knew Wine, I knew it, period. And I went to Wine one day and I was like, yo, Wine, I'm like, it's this producer named Kid. I'm like, he got this sound that I think, that everything I'm hearing from him, I want it. And probably no more than 72 hours later, after I told one, he basically was just like, yo, the kid gave me this beat CD with these 3 beats, and he said, if you can write a hot song, and you come over there and lay the hot song or whatever, if it's dope, then he'll do a whole album with you, but if not, then he ain't fucking with you. So the first song I wrote was Bang, and I went over kid crib, and I laid Bang, and I remember because he lived in an apartment, his recording booth was in a closet in a bedroom in the apartment. So I went in there and I laid. I remember when I opened the door and came out from laying it, I remember kid stood up and gave me a play and was smiling like so hard. He kept, you know what I'm saying, putting his hand over his face. And from that day on out, like me and Kid created our bond, you know what I'm saying?
So it was kind of parallel.
Yeah, that's why I even spoke on that, because that was the day where I felt like, okay, I got my AK now, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it was, for real.
Last question. The day that Blade got killed, what was your feeling like, and where were you at? Because I know earlier that day, remember I was just talking to you earlier, that y'all had rolled up on the side of me like, K, you better watch yourself way out here.
Yeah.
And I was like, I seen y'all niggas.
Yeah. The day that Blade got killed, me, Pook, and G-Rock, and I think Yacht was supposed to be with us, but he didn't show up. We was playing golf. We were out in, we was way out somewhere like Wayne, Michigan or something. We were on the golf course playing golf, and it was crazy because we was in the hood all that day, and we seen AK rolled up on him doing some old stupid silly shit, playing or whatnot, and after we had been in the hood all day, Pook was playing golf real heavy. Him and Yacht was playing golf like every day. And Pook was like, man, come on, let's go out here and, you know what I'm saying, go out here on the course or whatever. So me and G-Rock like, whatever, fuck it. So we hit the freeway, we went out, we playing golf, whatnot. And by the time we got to like, I think it was like the 4th hole, my phone was ringing, because all our phones was ringing and we wasn't like answering, because we on the golf course, we playing golf, so we kind of like, so I think I was the first one. I picked my phone up or whatever, and it was a text, and it said, I forgot exactly what it said, but it basically said something to that effect, like where you at? Is it true that Blade just got killed or something? And so like, as soon as I seen that, I'm like, what the fuck? And everybody, all our phones ringing, so everybody answering the phone, everybody on the phone, and we heard, as soon as we heard it, we like, I still remember, like, we left everything. We left the golf cart, the clubs, all that shit. We left that shit right there, and we all took off running to the car, and we was out so far, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was flying, we flew to the neighborhood, and it was like, as soon as we got to like 7 Mile in Southfield, we came off the freeway, it was just so many people everywhere, and we couldn't like get over there. We had to park like blocks away. And I remember, like this happened to me in my dreams a lot too. Like I remember we got out the car and we were walking towards 7 Mile, me, Pook, and G-Rock. And as we got out the car, like we started seeing more of the homies, and it's like we started walking with 3 of us, and as we was walking, it became 5 of us, 8 of us, 10 of us. You know what I'm saying? Till it looked up, it probably was about 15 of us. And I remember how everybody was staring at us. You know what I'm saying? Like looking at us like, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was like people, I don't know if they was looking at us like that because they was looking like, you know, like, are y'all next, or is this something going on, or if people were looking at us understanding our pain, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I remember, man, I was fucked up, man, for real. Like I think that may have been, between that and G-Rock and my best friend funeral, that may have been probably my first or second time that I had ever openly cried in front of the homies, you know what I'm saying? Because back when I was younger, man, I used to think I was, you know what I'm saying, like one of the toughest, wildest niggas, period. So I ain't believe in really showing emotion, you know what I mean? And that may have been probably the first or maybe the second time that I had ever just really broke down in front of the homies. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was fucked up, man. I remember when they pulled Blade out the car, when they finally pulled him out the car, and I remember cause I was standing on top of a car looking, and I remember like when they pulled him out the car, they kind of like leaned him over, whatever. When they leaned him over, like one of the police officers or something, I think he put him on the shoulder, like or something. And when he did that, I swear you could just hear like it was like if anybody was out there, it was thousands of people out there, like Summer Jam or something, crying. It was crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, that's a day for me, man. That just that whole vision of that whole day, like I think about it so much, like, you know what I'm saying? Like for real, like fuck me up. You know what I mean?
Sweet. Hey, let me get a look.
Yeah, we was talking about. We was talking about.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's to go along with that. As somebody who yourself now went on to have the same, what did it probably feel like for him? What was the friendship?
You know, like I it's funny you say that because like I said before too, like one thing that people got, I don't know about everybody else, but as far as me, I'm speaking for myself. Even though, you know, I ran with Blade and Blade was my friend, I was still for some reason always a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like even for me, period, just, you know, I held my shoulders up high and I held my head up high, just knowing that I felt like nigga, Blade, he my friend, you know what I mean? So I always looked at Blade like even times like now, like, you know, for me as an artist becoming who I became in Michigan or whatever, it's been times, because now I understand it now, because I used to look at Blade and I could tell that Blade, like, it was times where Blade, he was such a regular down-to-earth person that it was times where I was looking at him and I'd be like, he don't even realize he Blade Icewood, you know what I'm saying? Like he always knew he was popular and stuff like that, but I used to look at him and be like, dog, do you know who you are? Like, you know what I'm saying? You Blade Icewood. So even for myself, now that I became someone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have asked questions. Like, I remember one day I asked, I was riding with Juan. I asked him. I was riding with G-Rock one day and I asked him. Like, I remember me and G-Rock riding. I asked G-Rock one day, I said, G-Rock, man, I said, do you think I'm like as popular, or do you think that I'm big as Blade it was or whatever? And G-Rock looked at me and was like, nigga, do you know who you are? Like, nigga, you K-Deezy, nigga. He like, nigga, hell yeah. He like, you know what I'm saying? And it made me feel good just on the strength of, I know how I looked at Blade. Like, one of my most times I could say I was with Blade and I just felt so, like, I felt so good. I remember, like, after he got shot the first time he came out and went to the mall, I remember we got to the mall and like nobody had seen him, you know what I'm saying? And we went to the mall and Blade had, cause, you know, like, Blade kind of like, after he got shot that first time, I think, you know, when you go through things, like even myself, I've been through situations where you know, you almost lose your life sometimes, and you come out of them situations, you start looking at life different, you know what I mean? And like Blade, like when he came up out of that situation, like you seen a difference on him. Like he had started cutting people off. Like if you wasn't super close to him or you wasn't a street lord or something like that, you couldn't come around him. You know what I mean? Blade started, like, his jewelry game went crazy. He went to the jewelry store and went dumb. For real. And any real nigga who watching this right now, you know it. You know I ain't lying. Blade got shot that first time, nigga went to the jewelry store and went crazy. So I'm saying that all to say like this particular day, like, you know, Blade, he hella icy, you know what I'm saying? He in real like Cheddar Boy form, you know what I mean? And I remember I'm the one who actually pushing, it's all the street lords together. We walking through the mall and I'm pushing Blade in a wheelchair. And when I tell you this man was causing pandemonium in Fairlane, like pandemonium, I can remember people was on the third levels, the second level, everything. We on the first level. And I'm pushing Blade in the wheelchair and people all on the second and third levels, everybody, they all looking down and they just going, we love you, Blade, we love you, Blade. And I just remembered, like, it was crazy, you know what I'm saying? And that's the day when I looked at him and was just like, golly, like, dog, do you see what you just did at the mall? Like, it got to a point where he wanted to go because he was uncomfortable with all the attention, you know what I'm saying? So that was one of them days for me where I really just was like, man, this man is big, you know what I'm saying? And I was just happy to just even know that I could even be around him or that I had the honor and the privilege just to even push him in his wheelchair, you know what I'm saying? So for me, that was like one of those days that it never go nowhere for me because that was the first time that I really got to see how famous my friend was, you know what I'm saying?
What's the influence on the city that Blade has, and even now to this day?
Well, you know, first and foremost, Blade to me was one of the most, out of the D, Blade was the first real street nigga who came with that flashy, you know what I mean? Like, Blade was that pretty boy thug nigga who was just flashy, and I think even to this day now, like, he still, you know, with the young, that's what the young people about now. The young people about swag and fashion and you know, being fly, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely, because back in our days, who didn't want to be a Cheddar Boy? Who could say, man, who could say you ain't want to be a Cheddar Boy? You didn't? Come on, man, cut it out, man.
Okay, well then tell me this. Rock Bottom Street Lord Battle. Mm-hmm. You remember that?
Yeah, oh, definitely. To be honest with you, like,
just say what we talking about. Rock Bottom Street Lord Battle.
Huh?
Just say it so they'll know what we talking about.
Oh, the Street Lord Rock Bottom beef, like, man, that's classic shit. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, like, me and my younger circle, we kind of played a little part in that. You know what I mean? Not to the fullest, but we played a little part in it just because me and my friends, we were younger at the time, and we kind of like, we knew both sides, you know what I'm saying? And like, it kind of became a thing where we had access to the music, and at the same time we knew both sides. So we kind of used to get a kick out of it, like, oh no, did you hear that new song Blade them did? They went hard on y'all. And they'd be like, what you talking about? We like, oh, listen to it. You know what I'm saying? And that shit just went crazy, you know what I'm saying? But the one thing, like I tell people all the time, that I respect about that is because me personally, I was a fan of both, you know what I'm saying? Even when the whole thing was going down, everybody looked at me like he a street lord, you know what I'm saying? I still like the rock bottom music, you know what I'm saying? Even us now, I thank God that we kept that really stayed. You know, it was a few little altercations here and there, but for the most part, it stayed on wax. It stayed in the music, you know what I'm saying? And even to this day now, it's like it'd be amazing when you can go somewhere and see all of us together and we popping bottles together and we laugh at that shit and we all got love for each other. We all support each other, you know what I mean? Me and Rock, we super cool, you know what I'm saying? Me and Rod Day, me and Big Hurt did so much music together, you know what I mean? Everybody, T Dot, you know what I'm saying? Everybody know how it is, and that was just a fun time, though. I could really say that was a fun time, you know what I'm saying? But it was a great beef, though.
Okay, because me and Parker was sitting in the car. Mm-hmm.
Well, I have even asked that question to myself, you know what I'm saying, a lot of times, and even me and Juan had.
Good question. Uh-huh.
I asked myself the question if Blade was still here, would I have gotten as big as I was? Can you say that?
Worded like
Okay.
that, yeah.
Okay. Say it again.
I've even asked myself the question, if Blade hadn't passed, would there have been room for me to be what I became?
Okay. Yeah. I've even asked myself the question, like, if Blade hadn't passed away, do I think it would have been room for me to do what I done? You know what I'm saying? And like, it's crazy because that conversation has came up in between. You know, me and Juan have talked about that so many times, and the thing that we both came up with, like, I believe so. You know what I'm saying? Just because, first and foremost, like, I remember like me and Blade, me, Blade, G-Rock, all of us, we were getting ready to go somewhere, and this was when Blade was in the wheelchair. And I had already started recording Stuck in My Ways. And, you know, like, cause even the TV show, the Dirty Glove Network, that started.
All that was banging when he was still on.
Yeah. No, actually, it had just started. Because, like, our second episode was Juan saying, I don't know if y'all remember when Juan pulled the money, I was like, I got 50,000 cash for anybody who have any. That was the second episode. Right. So like the first episode, Blade was around. You know what I'm saying? But this particular day that I'm talking about was before the TV show even started. Before we even started filming for the show. I mean, we was getting ready to go somewhere. We were all at the gas station on 7 Mile and out of Drive. We were all gassing up, getting ready to go somewhere. And I remember Juan used to have a Hummer. Juan had the Hummer with the bass in it, crazy bass in it. And Juan was like, watch this. Because nobody didn't know. Only person that knew I was recording at this time was G-Rock. Nobody didn't know I was working on a solo project. G-Rock was the only person who knew. So Juan was just like, watch this. Juan opened up the lid on the back of the truck. He popped my CD in. I think I had like 6 songs on there. And he was banging it. And the whole crew, everybody was just like, damn, like, that's you? And I was like, yeah. And niggas was like, oh, fuck. You know what I'm saying? And I remember standing right there with Blade. And I remember Blade looked, the first song that came on was In My Hood. After In My Hood went off, Chopper in the Trunk came on. When Chopper in the Trunk came on, remember Blade was rolling the blunt, sitting in the Rover in the driver's seat. He's rolling the blunt. I just remember he looked over at me and was just like, ooh, boy, you about to be all right out here. And I was like, you like that shit? And he was like, hell yeah, like, nigga, that shit sound cold. You know what I'm saying? So, like, as far as to answer that question, I believe so, you know what I'm saying? Because first and foremost, I was tied to the crew, you know what I'm saying? And the crew ran the streets. It wasn't just about Blade. Street Lord Cheddar Boys ran the streets, period. So just even being in the crew and being one of the youngest members, you know what I mean? And then, like, even the whole thing, you know, a lot of times, too, what people got to understand is, when people hear and know the real about situations, and then if they hear it in the music, they go, oh, I could vouch for that. That's real. So I mean, as far as for me, with my first project, due to production and due to my name in the streets and my street credibility and the crew that I came up around and being able to, you know what I mean, the ties that I had, I feel like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, because even the TV show came and when Juan created the TV show, the starting off of the show, my whole plan, the focus was to be on me. You know what I'm saying? It was on Dirty Glove as a label, but my project was the first project coming out of Dirty Glove Entertainment once we started taking things to that level. So yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that, definitely.
Okay, so Blade does Stack Map.
Yeah.
Was on the hill to Stuck.
Yeah, because I was.
So really, you two were popping at the same time for that brief period.
No, not because. Really, what happened with Blood? I was recording Stuck in My Ways while Blade was recording Blood, Sweat, and Tears. But the difference in between me and Blade, as far as with the recording part of it, was Blade was mashing. Like, Blade came out. He came out one particular day and was like, oh, I'm finna do an album and kill these niggas, I'm going hard. And I remember talking to him and seeing it on his face that he wasn't playing no games. And like, AK will tell you, Blade was knocking down maybe 2, sometimes 3 songs a day. So even when I was doing songs in spurts and my album was coming together and we was working on my album, Blade was knocking down songs every day. Like, it was crazy because I just got through having a conversation with somebody. I think it was me and Big Sean. We was just on his tour bus, and we was talking about Big Sean was telling me how crazy it is working with Kanye. And something that he said about Kanye, I was like, when he said it, I was like, that's crazy, because that's how Blade was. Like, when Blade made Blood, Sweat, and Tears, like, if you wasn't on the song, you couldn't even come to the studio. Like, if you wasn't on that song that he wanted you on, you were not welcome at the studio. You couldn't come. Cause like I remember the day that he did the song Cashing Out with G-Rock and Calhoun. Me and G-Rock was together. G-Rock had to drop me back off to my car because I couldn't come to the session. You know what I'm saying? So like Blade was dead serious about that project. And when you listen to it, you know, like, it's a classic album. When you listen to it, to me, like, I still listen to it now and I get chills up my spine when I listen to it, because I know how serious he was about that project and I know how he went about making that project. So for me, when I listen to the music, just to be able to say I was around, that's just like saying you was able to be around Pac when he made All Eyes on Me. You know what I'm saying? So for me, yes, it was something like that.
So was he like the big?
Definitely. Still is. You know what I mean? He still, the same way Tupac, like, to me, Tupac and Biggie ain't, these boys been gone for years now, and they still somewhat damn near relevant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how Blade is. Like, Blade still on the radio. Blade still can. Right now, we filled up this bar right now, throwing a Blade song, they tear this club up.
Which record would they go the most crazy off of if you threw it on?
If I had to pick, because like me in all my shows that I do, I made it my business to always do a Blade tribute. And every time I do the Blade tribute, I do it different ways. Sometimes I may do 2 or 3 songs. Sometimes I may just do one, depending on how much time I got in the show. But when I had that one power song that I want to just really go, it's Come Roll with a Nigga. You know what I'm saying? Come Roll with a Nigga.
What does the crowd do when you throw that on?
They go crazy. Crazy.
I got two.
Crazy.
What do you got going on now?
Oh, right now I just got through recording my new album. It's called They Want Some More of Me. It's a hashtag. I took the words "They Want Some More of Me" and I combined them together, and I took the spell and I made it one word. I'm actually finna copyright that too, so make sure we handle that before I do. My album is called They Want Some More of Me, but I made it all one word and I spelt it different. You know what I mean? But basically,
You got some major label stuff on there?
yeah, definitely. I got a few labels. You know me, I've always been independent. You know what I mean? I want to continue to remain independent. I enjoy being independent and being able to do what I want to do and how I want to do it. We really just looking forward to doing some things with the major as far as distribution. You know what I mean? So I mean, and even now we know that that's not hardly going on. Like, you know, like right now, like even now, that's what I'm going through. I'm going back and forth because it's a struggle because they don't want to do that no more. You know what I mean? But
my final question is, looking back, I mean, now you have a lot of success. You're here, but look back, you guys had a lot of success and fun and all that. But Blade is not alive.
Mm-hmm.
Wine is doing 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing now everything that happened, reversing in time, would you do it all again?
That's a hard question for me. It's a hard question for me because no, I don't want. Of course, I don't want Wine to be locked up. I don't want Jesse to be locked up. I don't want Conrad to be dead. I don't want Blade to be gone. No, I hate that Rook went to prison and did time. You know, I hate that a lot of things have happened in our circle, but when you ask me would I go back in time and change it, I don't think I would. It wouldn't be real if I told you that I want to go back and change those things that happened to me. Those things that went on and that happened to me, some of those things are the things that I feel like made me happy and made me a better man that I am today. I really think that you take situations and you learn from those situations, and it's up to you to mature, you know what I mean, and grow up. But one thing that everybody got to be honest with themselves too is this is something that we choose, and being a real man. I think that if you choose to be a street nigga and you really stand by that and say this is what I am, then you have to understand the things that come along with it, and you had a right to make that decision. Like even me now, I've grown up a lot, I've matured a lot, but I still love the streets. I love what I do, I love who I am, and there's certain things I would like to change, but who I am and my past experiences and things I've been through, I enjoyed those good times, and even some of the bad times. I appreciate the bad times as well too, because the bad times is the things that made me stronger and made me become a better person. You know what I'm saying? So overall, would I want to change all those things? Can't really say that. I wouldn't.
Last two questions. One, I gotta ask this because I asked everybody. Did it make you feel like you had to fuck with AK as well?
Yeah, Blade and AK relationship to me was a bond that's, to me, even, you know, when sometimes you put two people together who need each other, it's amazing because it's like like peanut butter and jelly and shit. You know what I mean?